I wrote a song for my dad, which is a very personal thing. And today we're gonna break it down. But before we dive in, you got to hear this. Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome as well, and thank you so much for joining in. That drum groove you just heard sounds pretty mad, doesn't it? We have a beautiful song breakdown coming up. We're gonna find out how I put the song together, how the structure works, what mistakes I did, and there is one. And we're gonna find out why performance always outperforms mic choice. So let's stick around. All right, party people, let's go. We have this Logic session right here. We have about a track count of plus 50 tracks. Not a whole lot, but still decent amount of work. So I'm gonna play that whole project real quick so you hear what we are dealing with. Let's go.
Macht diese Reise Sinn? Mutig gingst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen, prüfst die Stimme im Herzen, immer im Gebet für den nächsten Schritt. Gottes Weg zu gehen. Mutig gingst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen, prüfst die Stimme im Herzen, immer im Gebet für den nächsten Schritt. Was denkst du denn nur, wenn deine kleine Welt zusammenbricht? Doch er spricht zu dir. Komm zu mir, mein Kind, siehst du denn nicht das Licht? Mutig gehst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen. Mutig gingst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen, prüfst die Stimme im Herzen, immer im Gebet für den nächsten Schritt.
All right, there we are. Okay, so let's just break that down real quick. I try to be as quick as possible, but still give you some value out of it. So this looks quite messy, I have to admit. I never work like that. Usually I have the drums at the very top because kick has to be on the first channel. But what you can see here is the actual approach and how I put the song together. because I had to come up with ideas in the production stage, because as you might know, you don't have always the idea straight ahead. So I literally started with a MIDI piano track, and that was the main theme of the song actually I came up with. This was the main theme I came up with. So a day went by, and in the next night, literally, I was thinking about, okay, what can I do next to build up this song structure? And I came up with this Moog because I desperately wanted that mini Moog on the track, and it sounds just fabulous. As you can see, I already bounced it in place to save some CPU. And this is what it sounds like, and I love it. It's just that beautiful mini Moog sound you all know and love. And I haven't tried the UID version yet, but I will. But I really think they basically nailed the sound of Arturia. It's beautiful. And it's just that arpeggiator with which brings so much weight to the first chorus. And exactly, that was the next thing I recorded. So I literally went step by step. I took my time to really think about what I want to do and why I want to do it. Then I came up with some strumming acoustics. These are from Native Instruments. If I would have had more time, I would have played them by my own, because I always want to try to be as authentic as possible in terms of sound, so to make it as real as possible. But this was just a quick fix, and it turned out beautifully. Usually, actually you just hit one, you hit a C or whatever the key you are in, and it plays just that strumming part, which is great. And then we have the next track, which is the verse. It's just so cool. You just hold it down and you have to fine tune a little bit, but that's about it. So what I did then on that track was only a channel EQ to take out some harshness and the high end. And that's about it. On the Moog, I took the little tube. It's just to give it some weight, some bottom end, which matches beautifully with the Moog. And I think I also did that one with the Juno as well, exactly. But we'll come to it later. Next up, we have the Glaze Wah, which I called it. It's also a Native Instruments effect, also converted into audio already, which is as simple as that. It's so cool because it brings just a nice little texture to it and makes everything a bit more spicy. Especially it's a filler between this drop off after the verse and the first chorus. So I really had to get something to fill that space. Next up we have Butch Vig drums, also Native Instruments. Let's take a look at this one. What I did was literally play a C. And that was the first part of the chorus. And as you can see, I played another note here for the second part. And I just wanted to enhance the whole song with some electronics. And I love the Bolshevik drums because they are so characterful and crunchy. So it brings the whole song to another level, as I think. And matches beautifully with the real drums after. Actually, let's hear the second verse. We have this going on. Let's play it from the beginning.
Als man das glaubt.
I think that sounds pretty awesome. And there we are. That's the Bolshevik drums. Next up, we have a beautiful Yamaha DX7. I love those vintage synths, and I would love to have an original one here, but I don't. So I went also with the Arturia plug-in version, which still sounds fantastic. Just that lush, beautiful, warm tone. Let's hear it in the first chorus. Just so cool. And that carries a lot of the whole song actually in those mellow parts. Next up we have the Juno, which is only played in the bridge, no, not in the bridge, in the low chorus and in the last chorus. Let's hear it. Yeah, we basically transposed into this part. So we come from the bridge in the key of C, and then we went to D major, and that's why the Juno is higher in pitch. Man, I tell you, I love that sound. I really need to get my hands on an original Juno. And also, as you just saw, I picked it up here once more. The little tube just gives it some bottom end weight and some warmth. So next up, we have vocals. Props to my wife. It's amazing how she nailed this performance. Even though we had a baby 4 months old during this time, it was crazy. I literally pulled up the session, made everything ready, hit record, left the room, shut the door, and she was nailing this performance in about 20 minutes. And after that, she had to go with the baby again. So it's crazy how she pulled this off between sleepless nights and not having any bit of energy left. But still, I think it turned out great. So let's look at this. It looks quite crazy on here, but the thing is, I chose the wrong mic for that part, but let me say one thing. It's all about the performance. It's not about the quality. You can edit the heck out of it nowadays. So I just had to do a bit more work to smooth out the vocals. Later on, we tried another take because I thought, oh gosh, it's just a bit too harsh. And we tried the Neumann I've also got, and that sounded, of course, well, not really of course, but it sounded way better in terms of smoothness and quality. But what I found is that the performance of the first takes just were top notch, and the second performance couldn't hold up with the first ones. So I stuck with the mic we had here. That was a Mojave 201 Fat, which is an awesome microphone, but for this particular performance I found it was just too bright. So I had to really dig in. We have an 1176 from UAD, which does a beautiful job. We have several instances of de-essing. Literally, we have the sibilance by Waves. After that, we have the de-esser plug-in by Waves, just to take out some 5K. Then we have the Silk Vocal as a third instance for de-essing. But that does just another bit of magic with some decent gain reduction here in the dynamics, and it turned out beautifully again. And also we have the channel EQ, also once again taking out some harshness and some high end, because my wife anyway has a very bright voice, which I like, but paired with a bright mic it can be a little too much. So let's listen to the vocals. First chorus.
Mutig gingst du voran, mit deinen Visionen im Vertrauen den Weg. Durch alle Stationen prüfst die Stimme im Herzen, immer im Gebet. Für den nächsten Schritt.
So this is it, you heard it dry, and I think you can relate to what I was saying. It sounds still good, but it's just too bright. So I really think the vocals turned out beautiful, and I would go at any time with the performance first over quality of the recording. So as I said, we tried the Neumann microphone and it was sounding great, of course, but I would always prefer performance over quality of recording. Okay, that's vocals. Let's see what we've got. We have some pretty minor effects right here, delay and a reverb. We have the Echo Boy on the vocals. It's a great sounding delay. And from UAD, the beautiful Lexicon 224, which gives the vocals also a nice spread and space. Okay, let's move on to guitars. And big shout out to my two friends, Marc Ebermann and Nils, who provided me with bass and guitars, which I absolutely love. Not much to talk about here because you can see the channels, they are clean. Also, keep in mind, we didn't have time for the project, so I was spending nights and nights and nights working on this and putting it together. We have some little stuff going on the bass, especially sidechain compression, which is fed by the kick drum just to duck it down a little, to give it some space. Then we have the distressor for a nice vibe, and a 560 taking out some low mids, and the channel EQ, same stuff. Nothing much going on. Then we have a Pilottrack, of course that's muted, but I first programmed the drums beforehand so all the participants, and especially my wife, can sing and they can play to the Pilottrack before I actually recorded the drums, because the issue was I still wasn't ready with my studio, because I had to do a lot of cabling to actually be able to plug the microphones into my interface. and that still wasn't ready to go. So actually I had to rip everything apart, move my interface from the front of my room to the back of my room to literally have that local sitting there to plug the mics straight into the interface and not going into my actual stage box through the wall and back out of the wall again into the interface. But you will see that one in another video, because I'm about to make a studio breakdown or a studio build. So stay tuned for this one if you're interested. Now we come to the good part. Let's see drums. These are, as you can see, all muted because I already printed those drums into this stereo file through the TEGELER CREME. If you might remember my last video, you got to see this. It's incredible, where I put those drums through the CREME that sits right here. So everything else is muted, but let's just undo this and see what we've got. Boom. So we have the mixer tab again. We have the drums right here, the kick, only one kick mic, snare top, tom, overhead left, right. Then we have an crash mic, what I would call it. It sits right in front of the, not in front of, but above the kick, aiming at the snare, which is basically pretty much crushed by this 2500. Then we have a figure 8 pattern ribbon mic mono as the room mic. We just go through once again with soloing the tracks. Then we have the trash mic, which sounds awesome, but is only being played for the bridge part. I'll show you that as well. So let's hear the kick. Let's hear verse 2. Sorry, the drum group is muted, of course. Okay, let's hear it one more time. I've just have the logic gate going on, then straight into this beautiful Sheps 73, which I very like for drums as well. After that, we have a 560 API EQ. I love this one, especially for drums, for kick and snare. And after that, we have a 2500 doing the actual compression of the kick. So not a whole lot going on over there. Then we have the snare. There's even less going on. Also just a Sheps 73 and an API 2500. So let's move on. We have the toms, even less going on. But that's what I love. That's my philosophy, guys. Get it right at the source. Have a great instrument in the first place. Have good quality mics. Have a great room you record in. You have no idea how much influence the room has on your actual sound. And I also will do a studio breakdown where you can see what I did with my room to actually achieve that kind of drum sound. So there's only a 550B going on, and it sounds just fabulous. Nothing to add over here. Let's hear this quick. I mean, you hear it in context, that sounds way better, but we have only this 550Bs on the toms, and that's it. Just tweaking some dBs here and there, not much going on. And that's about it. And I don't want to mess around too much with the sound, because the sound is the drums. It's not me as a mixing engineer making a sound. That's what so many people confuse. I think especially that some mixing engineers out there just have the urge to make their sound and not respect the sound they have got. Of course, if you have a crappy recording, you have to tweak everything. You have to go into detail and notch things out and get rid of frequencies. But if you have a really good recording, which we do here, there's no need to put a hell lot of plugins out of onto the tracks just to make it my sound, because I mix that way. So, and it's a tough thing to do, I guess, because you always have to fight your own instincts to respect the sound you've got, and it's really a mindset thing. But I love simplicity, so I don't go into much detail. I just make it sound great and leave it there, and the rest I do with character mics or drum groups. And especially the CREME does just another whole thing. The TEGELER CREME outboard unit I have. So here we have the SSL channel going on the overheads, just taking out some nasty highs at 5K. Not much going on. I think I didn't even use the compressor on this one. Let's hear it real quick. Yeah, no compression on the SSL channel, just the EQ and some low cut. Then we have the Abbey Roads J37 tape emulation, which sounded nice in that particular case. And then we go on to the crush mic. That gets interesting. Let's repeat that verse.
Als Mann des Glaubens prägst du.
That's completely dry, no plugins engaged. Let's see the channel EQ. Not much going on here. Just rolled off some high end and some mid-range boxiness. Then we have the gain plugin, I think, for phase alignment. Yes, exactly. I put the phase in there. And a beautiful API 2500 once again. And there you can see it just smacks the heck out of the mic. It's an SM7B. And I just gently pulled it up just to enhance the snare drum and the kick. Then we have the room mic going on. Also here just rolled off some high end because the cymbals were too loud. Give it a small bump at 100 Hertz. And once again we have the gain plugin, -3 dB, because I don't need that room mic as loud. And then we have another 1176 from UAD, just to give it some slight compression, not too much. Because that mic went into my Empirical Labs Mic E preamp, and that has a built-in compression section equal to the distressor, just a bit spec down. But that had already compression applied to it on the way in. So that's what I also love about outboard gear. You can do just on the way in, decide what sound you are going for and just commit to it and record it that way, and not having to deal too much with everything later on in the chain. Next up, it's getting funny. We have the trash mic. Sounds like this. Sorry, it's not playing right here. We have to go to the bridge because it's only played over there. So you can see it's smashed, but it sounds cool. So that's why I didn't use it all the time, because that would just be too much and too much smearing overall. But I think it's cool for the bridge part just to give it some boost at that point. And this is about it. I doubled the tracks down here just to fill with some slightly different editing. But let's just mute those guys again and have a listen to the actual drum stem through the CREME.
Als man des Glaubens zeigt. Immer voll Hoffnung, Gottes Weg zu gehen, mutig ging's.
So that's it. The drums are just smacking. I love the CREME from TEGELER for that. And make sure you check out the other video as well, where I go into details of the TEGELER and where I put exactly this drum pattern through the TEGELER, which it beautifully enhances with that smack and top end sheen and low end bottom. It's beautiful. All right, guys and girls, there we are. There you have it. That was my breakdown of that song. But before you leave, what you didn't know, you heard already the whole time to the TEGELER CREME on the master bus. I'm going to show you the TEGELER on the Mixbus with a different setting, what it does, and we hear just maybe 2 sections of the song. Let's go.
Dein ganzes Leben ist Gott unterstellt. Du hast erkannt, dass nur er es erhält. Gabst ihm die Führung deines Lebens hin. Wusstest nur so, macht diese Reise Sinn. Mutig gingst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen, prüfst die Stimme im Herzen, immer im Gebet für den nächsten Schritt. Mutig gehst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen. Mutig gehst du voran mit deinen Visionen, im Vertrauen den Weg durch alle Stationen. Prüfst die Stimme im Herzen, immer im Gebet für den nächsten Schritt.
All right, there you have it, guys. Let's wrap this up. I had so much fun with that production, even though it was quite a bit of struggle, because my wife actually pushed me to do it. She started writing the lyrics, got some melodies. I took all the arrangement and all the production. But just to give you some value out of it, I thought it might be worth sharing, because so many people are just going nuts about having the ideas at once and start writing music. But just to, I don't know, just to tell you, chill and relax if the ideas don't pop up right away. As you saw, I just started with the piano, and one track after the other just appeared. I went with the Moog, then came the vintage synth, and suddenly I had this structure of the whole song. So don't worry about it, take your time. And keep in mind, this wasn't a release song, so that song was never released. It was only a birthday present for my dad, so there's a deeper meaning in that production over the actual production quality. And yes, I would have loved to have more time to go all in, to build vocal layers, and I thought about singing myself, kind of 5 layers of vocals just to push them even further, but we didn't have the time, so I stuck with ending the project on time, and I literally bounced that track one day before, or one night before we left to my dad's birthday. So of course it's not perfect, it's far from perfect. I would have gone nuts probably, but I thought it's still worth sharing what my approach is, and take everything what I said with a grain of salt. Just pick whatever fits your workflow, what helps you, and I hope you got something out of it, just to maybe take over into your own workflow, maybe just some mindset shift, or even how hardware works in that workflow. If you missed the video of the TEGELER CREME I made just before that, make sure to check that out. It's right here. It's so much fun. So with that said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you like. If you enjoy this kind of content, and please let me know in the comments down below what you'd like me to cover in the future, so I can take hold of that as well. I really want to engage with you as an audience, so I really take my time to reply to each and every comment down there. So, thank you so much again. See you next time. Bye.